Portland Trail Blazers head coach and Basketball Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups pleaded not guilty Monday to charges he profited from rigged poker games run by the Mafia. Billups was arraigned in a New York federal courtroom on money laundering conspiracy and wire fraud conspiracy charges, both of which carry a maximum punishment of 20 years in prison. Aaron Katersky is on the scene. He has more from New York.
It was striking to see Chauncey Billups, NBA Hall of Famer, Finals MVP, sharing a courtroom and a defense table with purported mobsters and other alleged criminals who federal prosecutors said rigged poker games and defrauded victims out of more than $7 million by putting X-ray technology on the card tables and cameras in the shuffling machines. Billups, as you say, pleaded not guilty. He walked out of here on a $5 million bond secured by a house that he has in Colorado. His wife and family were here with him to help co-sign the bond, and he walked out. Gray suit, white shirt, and pocket square, did not make any statements. Neither did his attorney, but he's going to have to be back here in March as he remains on unpaid suspension from the NBA.
Aaron Katersky reporting. Ryan Smith joining us now, ESPN legal analyst. Ryan, what role has the government alleged Billups played in this whole poker scheme?
So they're essentially calling him the face card. And when you think about it, they have this high-stakes poker game. The people involved, according to the government, are trying to get these high-net-worth individuals to come. What's a good way to come? Hey, we got a Hall of Fame NBA guy, Chauncey Billups, here. That's why he's the face card. He's the guy who helps bring in, at least according to prosecutors, the victims who they then bilk in these rigged poker games. But that also makes it very interesting as to whether or not he was involved in the scheme, because part of his defense could be, hey, I'm just here playing. I wasn't someone who was in the scheme. But that's the way they're positioning it. He's the face card that brings in the victims so that they could be bilked in the scheme.
The severity of these charges is enormous. Who's representing Chauncey Billups, and what defense can they muster?
He's got some high-powered lawyers. One of his lawyers is Mark McCaskey, and that's the lawyer that represented President Trump in a lot of his New York investigations that involved real estate companies and charities. He's also he's the son of the former Attorney General. So this is a very high-powered lawyer who is used to big-time cases. And when you have a case like this, 31 defendants, you're one of them. I think it helps to have a well-established, very skilled lawyer like McCaskey is. Now, in terms of defenses, it ends up being interesting. Again, it's early days, so he's going to now get discovery and things like that and see what the government has against him. But one way he could go is to essentially say, I am not a part of the conspiracy. It's like saying, I was present, but I didn't participate. So how does that work? They have to be able to prove that he had knowledge of the conspiracy, that he had intended to fraud people, that he was part of the scheme. But if he just showed up to play cards and they can't prove that he was a part of that, there's not messages or all different kinds of communications about how the scheme works, then he might be able to say, I had nothing to do with this. I just showed up, here I am, and I'm playing. And so that might be a place where he lies in terms of making his defense. But again, it's going to be helpful for him and his defense team to get documents from the government to see what they have on him so they can formulate that defense.
What's the possibility of plea deals for those involved in this?
There's a lot of possibility for plea deals in this. In fact, the government's already stepped out and said, hey, we're having discussions with a lot of the defendants. We hope to resolve a lot of these cases before trial. But plea deals are very tricky. We don't know if they're having these discussions with, say, Chauncey Billups or other of the people that we know in this case. But they're tricky because a lot of times when you start having negotiations or discussions with one group of people, and you got 31 defendants here, the people who come in later, they don't always get the best deal. Right. The people who come in earlier, they might get a more favorable circumstance, and then you have to worry about what are they saying about me. So the plea deal discussions might be interesting here. Again, they're not saying they're having them directly. They're saying they're having discussions. But I wouldn't be surprised if this case ends with some plea deals. And I know prosecutors are trying to resolve some of these cases with some of these defendants before trial.
All right. Ryan Smith, bringing it down. Thank you.
Sure.